Welcome, everybody, to Who's Your Band? I am joined by Sean Morton. I'm Jeffrey Paul. This is Sean Morton. How are you, Sean?
Jeff, I'm very excited about today. Very, very excited.
Yes, busy weekend for you, huh?
Busy week. Well, both of us, we both worked our asses off this weekend.
Yeah,
it's a good thing.
You were with one of our past guests. Actually, two of our past guests. You were with Terry McNeely and Mike Keegan.
Yep. It was a fun show. We called it it was myself, Terry McNeely, Mike Keegan, and Carla Okerson. We called it Three Patriots and a Socialist. That's the tour how we're going by. We're not saying who is who, but you can figure it out.
But when you know who's on that show and you look at the condition that Sean's in now, I am shocked. I thought, I didn't know if you would even be alive for this show.
Listen, let me explain something to you. There is wonders behind the powers of CBD gummies and Tylenol PM. It gives you a good night's sleep.
It does. All right. Enough of this dumb preamble.
Yes, exactly.
Let's get on with this because this is a first for our show. Listen, we have had rock musicians, we have had pop stars, we've had athletes, we've had politicians, we've had plenty of comedians, but this is porn stars. We've had Australian porn stars, but today we are blessed with our first chef, and we'd like to welcome to the show Chef Cara Di Falco. How are you, Cara?
Hi, guys. Good. I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be the first chef on the show.
Yeah, I'm very happy about this because I am, let's just say at 5 years old, I was 100 pounds. So I like food.
I do too.
Yes.
And this is the one show. I mean, we've been doing this show on Zoom for about a year and a half. We started the show like in a studio and it was great. Mm. Okay. The nice thing about Zoom, you're able to get guests from all over the world, pretty much.
Right.
But this is the one time now I wish we were doing this live in studio.
Oh, yeah. I'd be barking demands of what I want to eat.
I was going to say, because you want the cooking demo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why else book a chef?
I understand. I do.
So tell us a little bit about you. What kind of chef are you? What kind of restaurant do you work in?
Back it up. Where'd you get your training? Where'd you get your training?
And I will say I come at everything that you know to be a chef from 180 degrees in a different direction. So with training you had asked about, so I like to say, so basically I am an Italian kid from Jersey. I like to say that I am a graduate of Nonna's Kitchen. I was very blessed growing up well into my late teens and early 20s. I had two grandmothers and a great grandmother, plus my mom, all who could throw down in the kitchen. So that's how I learned to cook. I just grew up cooking with women who cooked. I mean, my mom did 3 square a day. We did Sunday dinner as a big family. All holidays, everybody's birthday. We were at my grandmother's house rolling fresh pasta, trays of the stuff out on the beds in the guest room off the kitchen kind of a thing. So that is my my informal culinary training, if you will.
That is basically me in a nutshell as well. It really is. No, it really is, because I grew up in an Italian household with my mother and my grandmother, watching my grandmother cook every single day. And then now here's the question. Now, when you're cooking now, do you look back in hindsight and realize that maybe your grandmother didn't cook as good as you thought back then?
I never think that they didn't cook as good as I thought back then. I think sometimes now that I've learned more from other chefs, that I have worked in a restaurant, I see maybe some more efficient ways to do things. Mm-hmm. And that sometimes even now, I'll look at my mom and I'll be like, you are making this far more difficult than it needs to be.
Right. Yeah. I have memories of my grandmother was the glue of the family. And we always still relatives will still talk about the Christmas Eves, and the holidays and things like that. And they would always say, yeah, I can remember walking into your house in Union City and we would have a tray of eggplant, like fried eggplant, but it wasn't that good. And it was just really high. Or she would make sauce every weekend, but it was burnt every weekend.
There are things, and I never actually experienced this, but there's stories of my grandmother, probably the more traditionally American dishes. So turkey on Thanksgiving, for example, she was always really concerned about salmonella or some other disease from the turkey. So she would literally cook it to the cavity caved in. She was just, so like that was always the thing. But, she had these other things that she did exceptionally well. I mean, her cream puffs were amazing. She would make this ricotta cheesecake for Easter that was to die for. So, I mean, I think it's always a little hit or miss. And then I love to be able to take their recipes and kind of recreate them, like I said, with what I know now, even swap out some ingredients sometimes. So I'm also a certified integrative nutrition health coach. So
cool.
So I did a program there, just kind of learning, how food impacts the body and how we can really kind of use it as medicine. So I try to incorporate some of that into the stuff I do. And then professionally, I actually have the only Emmy-nominated cooking show on YouTube. So that is where I do most of my work.
That's fantastic.
The problem with Italian grandmother cooks is you can't get a proper measurement.
No.
Everything is a pinch of this, a little bit of that. They take a handful and throw it in. You can't kind of replicate their recipes 100%.
Yeah, it's definitely been one of the challenges of doing my own show. And the example I always used is meatballs. And I remember being in college with a friend, and my girlfriend and I decided we were going to make meatballs one weekend. And for whatever reason, I couldn't get a hold of my mom. So I called my grandmother and I was like, Nan, what do I put in the meatballs? And she's like, oh, a little cheese, a little breadcrumb, and some, some parsley. And I was like, but as I said, I was like, yeah, but Nan, how much? And she goes, when it smells right. And I was like, when it smells right.
So true.
That's the problem.
Yeah. Cara, I make a dish the same way. I have a special dish that I make. It's a pasta dish. And it never, ever, ever comes out the same exact way, because it started off making like a basic puttanesca sauce, right? But it was anything that I had in my refrigerator. So I would take green olives, chop them up, garlic, basil, little cherry tomatoes, chop them up in quarters, and then reduce it down into garlic olive oil. So that way it would just reduce all the way down until it became sort of like a ragu itself. But it never comes out the same way.
Right, because you're always pulling.
So much about cooking, Sean.
Have you seen me? You think I just eat fucking Wendy's all the time?
Yes, I think you go through a crave case. I think you consider that good gourmet dining.
No, I don't consider that gourmet dining, but I will tell you what is very good: fruit slices from nuts.com. I will tell you that right now. It's the best thing. I'm totally addicted to it. I am going to become a diabetic by Thursday after eating these things. They're
maybe we
fantastic.
can get him to be a sponsor on the show.
Why do you think I just did that, Jeffrey?
Yeah, you're always a step ahead, Sean. You're good. Sean, see, Cara, Sean is as sharp as a spoon. Okay, and so he won't get one passed on us. Cara, tell us a little bit about your show on YouTube, and how did you get an Emmy nomination from it?
Yeah, so I came out of the world of, and I actually am still in it to some degree. So some of the other work that I do is in radio and TV broadcasting in the New York metro area. So started the show really kind of as a side gig, a hobby.
How long ago?
5 years ago now, 5.5 years ago.
Okay, wow, that's a nice run.
Yeah. So, and just wanted to kind of share a recipe. People are always calling me, how do I make this? I know you know how to do it. Or do you, even my cousins, do you have Nanny's recipe for such and such? And I have all these cookbooks with the, the notes and the margins and things like that from them. So it really just kind of became an idea to put everything in one place that everybody could access it. So that's the website. And then the YouTube channel was really just because video was always my favorite medium. I really enjoyed kind of doing things that way and being on camera. And so we were able to kind of start, shooting just their little 5-minute videos, just simple step by step, out of my own kitchen. We use my mom's kitchen actually, because it's a bigger space. We can set up more stuff.
Very cool.
And we just kind of started rolling them out. And it was literally let's, throw the spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks kind of a thing. So, and then with the Emmy nomination, like I said, coming out of broadcast television, I knew the process to submit your work for nominations. And so, after we were about 2-3 years in, I knew that we were producing good enough work that it was worth it. And so I submitted us and we got the nomination.
That's amazing.
What was your viewership like?
It's not mind blowing. It's really not, but we've got just such shy of about 6,000 subscribers on YouTube. We're close to 7,000 on Facebook. Instagram I've been working on. That's a little closer to like 3,600. But they're watching, they're listening, they're commenting. So, we have pretty good engagement, for those numbers. So, it's been good.
Listen, it's almost time for Rachel Ray to hang it up. Have you ever thought about maybe going, the syndication route?
I would love to be on a network or a streaming service or something like that. That's definitely, YouTube is really always kind of intended, at least for me, was intended as the best broadcast reel around. So, when the right person, the right producer stumbles across it, hopefully they'll be like, this girl, we think we want to put her on TV.
Hey, listen, Justin Bieber was found on YouTube.
He was. You never know. People don't understand like what kind of work actually goes into being a working chef and like how demanding it really is, because my nephew is a chef too. And I mean, there is literally times I haven't seen him in a year. Yeah.
Because of the weird hours. I mean, because you're working, if he's working from 3 in the afternoon to, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, you really don't have a life.
No.
And for you to be able to pull that off, to be able to do a chef and to be able to have a really well done cooking show on top of it, is really, it's a compliment to you as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, and it wasn't something, so for me, the weird hours was always a thing. And I was doing weird hours in broadcast news. So we would also have similar days where, the shift was 2 p.m. to midnight or like you said, or vice versa. I did a lot of years from 3:30 in the morning until 1 in the afternoon, and then would go home and shoot the show, things like that. But it was never that I was, the weird hours, yes, but I wasn't simultaneously working in a restaurant and doing the show. Okay. I shouldn't say that. I did. I worked in a restaurant for about 2 years while we were shooting the show, but it was a weird part of life. It was actually right before the pandemic. I was actually kind of in between jobs and working at my friend's restaurant just to kind of keep busy more than anything.
How much prep goes into preparing for like a show like that, and just like in general?
It's it's a lot on the kind of the production and the mental end of it, because you don't want to be repeating yourself and repeating recipes, and you don't want to put out anything that's so complicated that people are going to feel like it's not something they can tackle on their own. So you're always kind of trying to strike that balance of, what's something that people love to eat, that's familiar and comforting for them, that they feel like they could possibly do at home, that you can easily explain in 5 to 8 minutes. And then, and that's even at the very least somewhat different than something you've done before, even if it's, so for example, I mean, we have on the website, potato gnocchi, ricotta gnocchi, spinach gnocchi. There's got to be 10 different risotto recipes up there.
Oh, hold on a second, Cara. I just want to explain to Sean, gnocchi is like a potato-based pasta, Sean.
His face.
He's actually a comedian. He believes he actually tells jokes and makes money doing it too, which is fucking mind-blowing to me. But anyway. Jeff has no idea what it's like to actually make gnocchi, how fucking tedious it is to make it.
I know what it's like to make sausage. My wife's family is first generation Italian here, and so there would be like a weekend dedicated to making sausage. Okay, that's the weekend I'd be free, which was great. If I had to make the sausage, I'd probably hang myself with the rope. I couldn't imagine devoting a whole weekend to something like that. But I love eating it. Or how about the weekend? I'm sure your family, both of you guys must have gone through this, is the weekend of jarring the sauce.
I was just going to say jarring the tomatoes.
Right. Getting the delivery earlier, like maybe a month or so earlier, of the mason jars.
Yes.
Having all the mason jars like in your house. And then the big weekends, like, listen, nobody's doing anything. Okay. We got the jar of the sauce. And then the dividing of the sauce. Because the sauce is a big...
I got to tell you a funny story, and you'll actually appreciate this, Jeff. I was working Bananas Comedy Club in Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey. And my dear friend, Chris, makes his own sauce every year, right? And I get a text from him saying, you working Bananas this weekend, right? I said, yes. He lives close to there. And I go, what's going on? He goes, got a package for you. And I'm like, oh, what's he got? He's got weed. And I go, well, what is he bringing? And he texts me, he goes, are you done? I'm like, yeah. He goes, meet me in the parking lot. So I go meet him in the parking lot. He pulls up with his truck, and hands me this bag of like 12 gigantic jars of sauce. Now, at the same time, 5 cop cars come flying into the parking lot of Bananas because apparently there was a disturbance inside the hotel. And they go, "You guys the ones that called the cops?" And I go, "No." He goes, "What are you guys doing right now?" I go, "We're 2 fat Italian guys exchanging sauce in the parking lot of a comedy club." And they go, "What?" And they walked over and looked in the bag and they go, "I've never fucking seen this in my life." And they just laughed and parked their cop cars and went inside and arrested 2 people.
Oh my God.
True story. Not really funny, but it's a true story.
No, it
wasn't funny at all.
I feel like it's so stereotypically New Jersey too.
It really is. Now, you from North Jersey or South Jersey?
I'm from North Jersey.
Okay. Yeah. So am I. Jeff lives in Staten Island, which is kind of like, South Bayonne, as we call it.
It is, but the family's predominantly from Brooklyn, and so again, I got the whole thing with the Sunday dinner and how important it is. In fact, that's what my wife is doing right now. She's getting stuff ready. We do this after the podcast every Sunday, unless I'm working, but that's not interesting at all.
Let's talk a little bit about music because we are a music podcast.
We are.
So what kind of music are you into? And like, do you incorporate a lot of music when you're actually cooking, or something that you listen to while you cook as well?
That's a good question.
Yes. So I enjoy a wide range of music. And at any point, kind of depending on the day and what I'm making, I mean, you'll get from country to Andrea Bocelli to hip hop to dance music. It just kind of depends on what I'm doing, who I'm doing it with or for, just whatever kind of mood I'm in that day to kind of keep spirits going, or even if I'm just, cooking to relax, it'll be something like a Norah Jones or some other, kind of chill music.
I'm getting this awful image of Cara in her kitchen cooking Italian for all this gnocchi and Andrea Bocelli playing in the background. I'm like, could this be the most cliche Brooklyn, Jersey Italian thing that I've ever heard in my life?
No, if it was Jersey, it would be something very different. Like if it was
the Sopranos would be on in the background.
No, well, probably, yeah. But
Johnny Cox.
Yeah, no, it would be like Jimmy Roselli, like some old school Italian, real bad.
You went far back with Jimmy Roselli.
I went far back. Yeah, I went really far
Jerry
back.
Vale. You and Jimmy
Jerry
Roselli.
Yeah. Where'd you go to school, Cara?
I went to Rutgers. So truly Jersey girl, born and bred.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised your hair isn't fucking out of frame. That's how Jersey you're actually acting right now.
It can be. It's not fully dry yet. I had to prep it for tomorrow morning.
That's funny shit.
I got a hard-hitting question about Italian food. You guys like semolina bread?
Yeah.
How about you say it one more time without fucking mumbling the words, you prick? You mean semolina bread?
Yeah, I'm just making sure I'm saying it right. Semolina?
Yes.
Semolina, yes.
Semolina is like that's a good Italian bread to have.
Yeah.
That's your hard-hitting question?
Well, listen, I am a journalist. And I wanted to like ask the hard hitting questions to a chef, as opposed to Italian bread to semolina bread. I prefer semolina bread.
And it's funny for me. I always kind of associate semolina bread as Italian bread, and I think a lot of times you get the other ones are more, at least they're sold as like French loaves or something like that. So yeah, I've always kind of just tied that to being Italian bread.
I don't like a French loaf.
No, neither do I.
No, not on Sunday.
Too soft, exactly.
Yeah. That's why I like a good semolina.
Now, do you also like semolina pasta?
No, my favorite pasta, I think, is probably rigatoni.
Okay. So that is generally a semolina pasta. Yep.
Oh, is it? Okay. Rigatoni and fusilli are my 2 favorite pastas.
Yeah. Okay. They're generally like a semolina pasta, and it's run through an extruder.
Yeah, I kind of think of ziti, like last weekend. My wife was going to make ziti, and and I was like, ziti is too common, it's too boring. I was like, we need to jazz it up, because there was no pizzazz in the meal. And so she was going out to the store. I was like, well, the other store is right there. You can get like an interesting pasta. I mean, if I have to go with a ziti, I'll do it. And then
get an interesting co-host. How about that?
Yeah. Well, Sean, I didn't finish the story. So her suggestion was she was going to say a penne. And I was like, a penne is kind of the same as a ziti. Not interesting, boring, like boring. So
yes, I know what boring is, Jeff.
So she wound up getting this really great fusilli. And this is the type of, listen, Karen, when you're on an award-winning podcast like this one, okay, all right, this is what people want to know. What kind of pasta you like to eat? What do you do? Who's your talent booker? This is the things that they want to. What kind of crumb cake does this guy eat? This is what people want to know about.
It's true.
Now, let me ask you a question, Cara, and this is a serious question. Besides Italian food, what are your other favorite types of food to cook?
That's a great question.
So I really enjoy like Mexican or like South American inspired dishes. I think they're easy. They're something that you can really quickly make healthy for you. So I think a lot of times people don't realize, not for nothing, but a good plate of rice and beans, like with, a nice sofrito veggie, base on those beans, and, you put in some fresh herbs and things like that. You've got a really well-rounded meal for like less than $1 a serving, even now. So I think there's always something to be said about those really basic dishes. Once in a while, I'll do a little bit of Asian inspired food. So same thing. I think it's just something that you can really create flavorful, healthy dishes, with that sort of theme to it, or the things that we associate with that part of the world.
And is there something that you just don't like to cook at all?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a real pain in the ass kind of like a meal.
You know what? I've never done anything in my house with like octopus or something like that. I enjoy it. I will eat it if it's offered on a menu, but it's just one of those things that I'm like, I'm not bringing that thing home, cutting it, cleaning it. Well, it's a little more of a delicate dish to make. I would love to try one day, maybe if I had, somebody else who, a fishmonger who would come and prep it for me, kind of a thing. Right. Or I had the time to really sit there and kind of play with it and perfect it and things like that. So those probably just those more, I guess, I don't want to say exotic, but things that you just don't think of making at home. Okay. Yeah. So like things that you would, I'm trying to think, what else am I like? No, I'm not doing it. I'm not much of a baker. That would really kind of be the only other thing I would say.
Okay.
I make a nice focaccia bread. I'll make a couple of like a blueberry quick bread in the summer or something if I need something for breakfast. But for the most part, I'm not one to be like, I'm going to create a cupcake recipe. I'm going to mess that up if I try that.
Any food like kind of cuisine that you just don't care for at all? Like even just go out to a restaurant, like there's something you would avoid like the plague. Is there anything like that you would not try and do?
I haven't met it yet. I think I used to do, I used to feature food trucks when I was on local cable television here.
Such a big market for that now.
Right. It's huge. And one of the guys was like an exotic meat truck, and I kind of got duped this one day. It was supposed to be his beef burger, his bison burger kind of a thing. And we did the shot, and I always take a nice bite at the end. And, so we cut to commercial, and I was like, this burger tastes funny. Like the texture was off, the flavor. I was like, and he's like, oh yeah. He's like, I ran out of bison. That's my yak burger. And I was like,
what's a yak burger?
It's yak meat.
Yeah. You can make a burger out of that?
You can make a burger out of anything. Yeah.
Cara, what's something that someone who has limited skills, okay, what's something that's simple, quick, and easy to make? Like what like if you were going to do an episode for someone like me, okay, where like I really do kind of sometimes have a hard time making toast, okay, something that easy, but I can come off looking like I know what I'm doing.
Honestly, like a pasta aglio olio, oil and garlic.
My favorite thing in the world.
It's, you want to talk about a weeknight dinner, man? It's literally, garlic as much as you want. Go crazy with it. People look at me like I'm nuts because I'll put like 10 cloves of garlic in. I'm like,
at a minimum. Yeah.
I'm like, depending on how many people I'm feeding, but I'm like, I've never sat down to any plate of food ever and been like, there's too much garlic here.
Never.
It's just
An
not.
Italian doesn't say that. A real Italian doesn't say that. An Olive Garden Italian might say that.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's literally just, and you don't even have to chop the garlic if your knife skills aren't there yet. You just smash them and peel them, toss them in with a copious amount of olive oil. Just put it on low, boil your pasta, drain it and put it in with the oil, toss it all together and top it with cheese and red pepper flakes.
That sounds actually pretty good.
She's spot on. And if you want to take it a step forward, you can use garlic olive oil instead.
Yeah, which I have like an infused oil or something that you do.
Yes, I have a gallon of garlic olive oil on hand every single time in my house. I get it special.
I made a plate of it for myself last week, and I was so generous with the oil and garlic. I had a ton of it left in the pan. I said, I'm not throwing this out. And I just put it into a mason jar.
Yeah, you have to. You don't waste that shit.
And then the next 3 things that I made that needed garlic olive oil, that's what I was like, oh, good. I have my flavored olive oil here ready to roll.
Jeff, I think you would appreciate this story. Actually, I had one bad experience at a restaurant. I was living in Hudson County at the time, and there was an Ethiopian restaurant that my mother and wife used to love to go to. And they would go, like, if I had a gig or something, they would just go there. And there was one night they said, let's, do you want to go there? I said, you know what? I'll try it. I'll give it a shot. I'll really try anything once. You know what I mean? And so I go there and I'm sitting down, they order the food and the lady comes down. She's very, very sweet, very, very nice. You could tell she was older, it was her restaurant, maybe 6 tables, very, very small. So I'm looking around and there's no forks anywhere. So I'm looking around. I'm like, I don't understand this. And she comes over and she's like, oh, she recognized them too. And she was like, oh, yeah, I don't know who you are, blah, blah, blah. And so she goes, well, let me explain to you how the food is prepped. And it's mostly it's a lot of beans, Jeff, like a lot of like lentils and stuff like that.
I don't like that.
I don't like it either. So they have, on the table was like a huge piece of naan bread, kind of
like naan. Yeah, that's good Indian bread.
Right. So she goes, let me explain to you how you do this. And she takes it, breaks off a piece and she dips it in the lentils. And I'm like, okay, she's showing me how to do it. And then I turn my head and I have this 7-year-old Ethiopian grandmother with her gigantic ET fingers taking the naan that has the lentils on it and shoving it in my mouth. Oh. Like her fingers are
that's
2
disgusting.
inches inside my mouth.
Smelly fingers.
Dirty, ashy, lentil-covered fingers.
Ugh.
I gagged. I completely gagged. And I said, I was very rude. I go, I need a fucking fork.
That's disgusting.
And she felt, I feel bad. I actually made her feel bad because she was just trying to show me her culture and show me how they do things like this. And first and last time I ever had Ethiopian food.
That's a really unfortunate experience because Ethiopian food happens to be very good when it's well done. And it is an eat with your hands sort of cuisine, but that is a little unheard of, I think. It was
really hurt. It was actually like a Me Too movement. It was really horrible.
I felt almost sounds like an oxymoron though. Ethiopian food.
My uncle said the same thing when I went to a restaurant. He was like, that doesn't sound right.
Is your uncle a hack too, Cara?
No.
Oh.
Just a smart ass.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to clarify that. What's the most adventurous thing that you've gone out and had an experience with, like a certain cuisine that you would be totally out of your wheelhouse that you'd never thought you would try?
Probably I don't even want to say Southern. I want to say more specifically like New Orleans. Like I've had gator sausage, and a couple different types of gumbos with thing where you're
that's pretty good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it is all good. I'm trying to think of anything else. I mean, the yak burger was probably the most wild thing, mostly really because it was just unexpected.
Did you go? Did you eat yak and go yuck?
Yeah, no, yeah, it just wasn't it wasn't right initially. It wasn't even one of those things. Sometimes you eat something, you're like, oh, this is really good. And then someone tells you what it is and you're like, just kidding.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even good in that first bite. I was like, something about this is off.
Yeah, I was I'm a weird Italian in the way that I didn't have broccoli rabe for the first time till like 10 years ago.
Wow.
Like we didn't have like a lot of things like, well, my grandmother died when I was 12. So like,
yeah, but you never went to a place and had a broccoli rabe roll?
Broccoli rabe roll?
Yes. Like,
I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, really. Is it a Staten Island thing, Jeff?
No, it's a pizzeria thing. And in a pizzeria, Cara, I used to work in a pizzeria. Okay. And, you know, I wanted to just get this part because it's maybe the only show I'll ever tell this story. When I was in college, I would come home, come from school, and I would get like a bowl of sauce and about a half a loaf of fresh Italian bread, and all I do is just dip. And I love that. It's my favorite thing. It's
the best part.
Right. But in this pizzeria, they, you only have a spinach loaf, you have roll, you have a chicken palm roll. They had a broccoli rabe roll. And, and it wasn't too bad. And then like I would get used to eating broccoli rabe like as a side dish. But you never had broccoli rabe until 10 years ago. Sure,
yeah,
how's that possible?
It was very late. There was a lot of things I didn't really try. Because I think when you're younger, you have this preconceived notion that some things are really like just not good. Right. Or they just look funny or stuff like that. Or if you had a bad experience or something like that. Like I didn't have a sweet potato until like 5 years ago.
What now the fuck is wrong with you?
I swear to God.
What are you, like a veal?
But now I have it like at least once or twice a week. I have sweet potato. Yeah, I know. But yeah, I feel like I think the older that you get, I think that your palate changes a little bit.
That's true.
I think, and like I went to, like I said, my nephew was a chef. He was the personal chef to the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles for a long time. And now he's opened restaurants and, he's got his own place and stuff like that. So I trust him implicitly when it comes to food, and he took us to this place in the city called Hearth. And I said, okay, you're going to order everything. And I had like bone marrow for the first time in my life.
Oh,
and I
so
never,
good. Isn't that good?
I never, ever in my life, if you told me at 17 years old that I would be like sucking the insides of a bone of a dead cow, I would never, I look like I do, but I never thought I would actually do it. And it was amazing. I mean, there's some things that like I still can't do. I still can't get past the certain things. Like if we go to like a Rodizio restaurant where they're passing all the food around, and one time there was chicken hearts that came around, and I gagged a little bit. I couldn't do it. And my friend made a great point. He goes, the heart's the leanest muscle in the body. Why wouldn't you want to eat it?
Did you ever eat tripe?
No, I never ate tripe. I'm one of those. I had a very strange experience with tripe. I know what it is. I know like my grandfather used to love it, and I can still kind of smell it from when like they would cook it, and it gagged me. I
don't think that was a tripe. I think you were knocked out, and I think your grandfather was kind of like a little frisky.
Well, that's really over the line. Okay, so
at least that's what I'm hoping happened to you,
because that happened. Anyway, no. Like I remember going to like a family party, and my sister-in-law was there, and I thought that I was literally eating like rollatini, like just something like stupid, Right. And I grabbed it and I cut a piece and I have it up to my mouth. And this is when I knew that I fell in love with my sister-in-law. I love her to death. And this is the actual moment when I actually realized how much I loved her, is I have the piece like this and I'm going like this. And she goes, I didn't know you eat tripe. And I went like that, and I dropped the fork, and it splattered everywhere all over me. I can't do it. There's certain things I can't do.
Both of those things that you mentioned, it's really funny. So and I don't know if you know like what region of Italy your family is from. Both of those things are very like typical of Northern cuisine. So I think in terms of both Italians and Italian Americans, I kind of have a unique perspective where my dad's side of the family is from Abruzzo, which is the region due east of Rome. My mom's side of the family is from Piemonte, which is the region that borders France. So I really kind of have this like northern, southern, cuisines, kind of a unique experience. So I have been able to better wrap my head around eating heart and liver and organs and things like that from a lot of like the pâtés and stuff that they do up north. Like a chicken liver pâté is, there's nothing better. I mean, it's so delicious.
Never, ever get into that.
You are killing me. Oh, I hate when that comes around.
My wife's family is actually from Abruzzo too.
Oh, really? kidding.
Yeah, they're from Giulianova in Abruzzo, and my on my side they're from Bari and from Molfetta.
Okay. Yeah. So Bari's not too far.
Right.
But
you do taste the differences.
Also,
and the differences in the northern
for sure. The cuisines are definitely they're unique, really. And one of the other things that we did, I do culinary tours of Italy. Again, one of those things that kind of got a little postponed by the pandemic, but we just did our most recent one last October. Actually, we got it in before the whole Omicron thing. But there's there's a huge indoor market in Florence, and one of the things that they do is they make this like tripe sandwich, but they just let it sit and stew for hours. So it's super. You walk past this thing, and then you can get a red or a green sauce with it. It's on this hearty roll. It smells amazing. They literally had to drag me away from the stall. I was like, I need one of these. It smelled so good.
That's where we differ.
Yeah,
can't do it.
That's. I'm sorry, Cara. That's.
Listen, I'll eat veal every day. I'll eat. I don't care.
Good.
I don't care how
veal is good. I feel like that's not.
I don't care how young that little baby calf is. I'll slaughter that shit. I'll never eat tripe.
No, never. But isn't it like intestines?
It's the cow intestine.
Cow stomach. Forget it. Yeah, I'm not eating cow stomach. Then like when you go to a deli, won't they sell cow tongue? Isn't it and just called tongue?
Yes.
Get at it. I don't. Crap.
Yeah, there's certain things I can't do. I mean, listen, I can't do like the brains and the tongues and the liver stuff like that. I can't physically do.
No, because we're not savages.
Oh, but you got to understand.
Well, okay. Here's a perspective, though, just for food for thought kind of a thing. Is it more savage to kill an animal and throw those things out than it is to make use of them?
True. And that's a good point, because you got to remember, too, a lot of these cuts of meat and stuff like that were for the poor people, growing up.
Poor man's food.
Poor man's food. Exactly. So like they would be able to afford the brains and the chicken feet and the livers and all that shit. And like I can remember vividly growing up, and skirt steak was like $4 a pound, $3 a pound, until people realized, holy shit, this is the most delicious part of the friggin' cow. And now I literally went to the store the other day. It was $23 a pound.
Yes.
It's mind blowing. It's absolutely mind blowing to me.
We might at this point, kind of looking at what some of those food prices are. I mean, I would almost want to see it just to kind of like watch the cultural shift happen, but who knows? Maybe there will be a shift in this country towards those cheaper cuts of meat that people kind of have come away from now that they've been doing better for themselves, for a generation or two.
I think that's absolutely true. No one wanted to ask you, about is making pizza, because everyone seems to be making their own pizzas, having pizza ovens in their own backyard. Pizza ovens are becoming like the thing that people seem to be buying. They're cheaper than ever. Any suggestions on how to make a pizza for a guy who does? Because I think this is going to be the summer. I'm going to be making pizzas in the backyard.
Making pizzas in the backyard. So I actually have not invested in the backyard pizza oven, but I have a couple of friends who have, and they all swear by them. And in that case, I would just kind of at least for now, follow the instructions that come with whatever oven you purchase, because they're all going to vary slightly. But we did do a video with a friend of mine who owns a pizzeria, and he just kind of really laid out how to do like good pizza at home, how to make your own fresh dough kind of a thing. And then a lot of the tips that he really gave was, he said, if you don't want to do, the $400, $500, $600 pizza oven, invest in the $30 pizza stone.
That's right.
The ceramic piece.
I saw that.
Yeah. And he says, crank your oven up as hot as you can get it, get that stone in there, preheat it.
You can do it on the barbecue.
Or do it on the barbecue. I've done grilled pizzas before. I do them almost every summer, and they always are a big hit. They come out delicious. And same thing. It's just, it's just getting that heat cranked up as high as you can. So it doesn't even really take that long to cook. So even in the oven, 15 minutes, 20 minutes tops, and you should be good to go.
What's really cool, isn't it? Like when you have like the Nutella pizza.
Oh yeah.
That's
good. Like a fun dessert.
It is. And you can do a lot with that too. You can do, strawberries are coming into season now. Bananas are always around in this area. It's pizza and pizza dough are great because again, it's just a really versatile food. Or I like to, I like to refer to things that like pasta, rice, pizza doughs, things like that as like a vehicle for getting something else in your mouth. So especially if you've got kids and they're picky,
exactly.
Toss some veggies on their pizza and see how that goes, or even puree them into the tomato sauce and put it on the pizza or on the pasta. And you have to kind of like sneak it in there once in a while.
Any goals about opening your own restaurant?
The short answer is no. For a long time, I always said I never actually wanted my own restaurant because, as you had mentioned with your nephew, just the amount of time and labor and blood, sweat, and tears that goes into something like that. But since we had mentioned food trucks, that's one of those things where, just this year, it kind of occurred to me. I was like, gee, a food truck kind of strikes that balance of, I'm able to prepare and serve my own food without the level of overhead, without, yes, it's smaller, but it's also, a little more personal. And, so it was one of those things that I, really just started kind of putting some feelers out to see like who else might be interested in kind of going on a venture and an adventure like that with me. But yeah, no, it just recently became something where I was like, I've really discovered through the pandemic that I enjoy, as much as I enjoy creating videos for people, I'm really starting to enjoy cooking and serving food for friends and family, for the people I love. And I'm looking into, trying to find other ways to do that. So I've actually started doing, I do some pop-up dinners here and there. So when I have a free
Those are cool.
Space and a plan, I'll do, again, through the pandemic, we did 10 tickets tops. And so that I could space everybody out. So now I'm hoping to make them a little bit bigger going forward, but something like that. And I like that scenario because I set the menu. Everybody knows what it's going to be. If people need a vegetarian option or something, they can always email me and let me know. But I try to do stuff like that where it's like, hey, come out, buy the ticket. I'm going to cook for you. This is the menu. And, so I'm kind of getting my feet wet with stuff like that.
That's a very cool. My nephew does that too, actually. He actually made a good coin doing the private chef thing. Good coin. Well, I will tell you one thing though.
I have a question for the two of you. Hold on a second, Sean.
Yeah.
Because I want to, before I forget, do either one of you, since you guys both cook, do either one of you find cooking to be therapeutic?
1,000%.
Absolutely.
And just explain a little bit, is it like when you're in a bad mood, when you're depressed, what is it about cooking that maybe kind of like calms you down, puts you in a different spot? Like what is it about cooking?
The main thing for me is that I'm fat and always hungry. So when I'm hungry, I'm angry. So when I cook and then I eat, I'm not angry. That's what it comes down to.
What if you're in a bad mood, Sean?
It is very therapeutic. Yeah, it depends, bad co-host. It's very therapeutic for me because you're think of it this way, Jeff, and let's bring it back to comedy. Okay. You have an idea for a joke. Okay. You have an idea where you want to go for the joke and you start with the basics and then you're going to start adding onto it and building into it and then seeing if something doesn't work in the joke. Okay, then you might put something else into the joke as well. And then when it's all said and done, once you've tried it and tried it and tried it and you've perfected it, you have something that's tangible. And that's a really good thing that you can, I can say serve to people, but it's kind of what you do when you're telling a joke, you serve it to people, right? It's the same thing with cooking. If you're trying out something that's not like a standard dish, you know what I mean? And if you're saying, okay, so I need a little more acidity over here. I need to put a little more salt over here, blah, blah, blah. For me, it's kind of like it's creative. It actually is very creative to me. And I don't like to do like boring shit either. Like if I see something that sparks my eye on television, I'll tweak it and do it myself. If I see Sunday mornings, I always say it's Sunday morning cooking shows. And that's what I do every Sunday morning. I'll put on The Pioneer Woman or Valerie Bertinelli or something like that and try and just spark something.
I never knew that about you. I mean, we've been doing the show for over 2 years. I didn't get up every Sunday morning, then watch cooking shows. I had no clue that you did that. I know you like to eat. I get it. We all get it. But I didn't know
Well,
that
now you got a new show you're gonna have to watch on Sunday mornings.
I'll watch your show, Cara. Definitely, I would love to see you on one of the networks. Tell us about, how is it therapeutic for you?
So I do, like what you said, I find it therapeutic, like really across the board. So it's like if I'm sad and I just need something to kind of be slow and simple and, and it's like, I can take my time and just really chop this onion and not, kind of mull over in my head whatever's going on. Or, if I'm angry, like there's not better than smashing garlic when you're like, just whacking the crap out of it.
You?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's the thing about cooking that I hate is I find it very tedious, but you're talking about it like you're reveling in it.
Yeah.
It's a process.
That's it. The whole process. Yeah. And then same thing, like even, like I said, with like, when I'm happy and it's like, oh my gosh, I just want, for me, and actually, I got to interview Lydia Bastianich on my show one time, and she was saying,
watched her. She's fucking brilliant. I love her.
She's everyone's Italian grandmother, and I love her to bits. She's just the most amazing human. And she said, food is a love language, and I was like, oh my God, if that is not the freaking truth, like, if I'm cooking you a meal and I'm really like, trying to like, that is 110% my way of showing you, my affection for you. It's like, this is my time, my effort, my creativity. 100%. And for that, like, those are always the meals that turn out the best too, right? When they come from that place of love, or it's like, I wanted to make this pasta for you.
It's so easy to pick up a phone and order pizza or order Chinese food when people come over. But like you said, if you're having people over, and whether it's 2 people or 4 or 6 people, and you're taking that time out of your time, because listen, nothing is quick anymore. It takes you time to prep everything, to buy everything. And that's showing a sign of love without question. Without question, it's an actual sign of love when you're cooking for somebody. It kind of sucks when it sucks. You know what I mean? When the food kind of sucks, but the food that we cook doesn't suck. You know what I mean? Like I've been at dinner parties where people have cooked and I was like, oh, this is great. And like 5 minutes when I was gone, I was at McDonald's because it was just disgusting. You know what I mean? But it is a very relaxing, creative. I mean, I just keep saying the word creative because it is a work of art. No, I actually made money this weekend doing comedy. No, it's more like
he makes these dumb statements that are just so unbelievably untrue, actually.
No, it was true, Jeff. But no, anyway, getting back. Who are your top 3 favorite chefs on TV? Besides Lydia.
Yeah, Lydia is definitely up there. God keep him, Anthony Bourdain was just the most incredible. And again, he was the most incredible storyteller. And I just, and it was like, food was the framework in which he told those stories. But again, for me, the chef aspect of him was one thing, but that storytelling, that journalism aspect, again, because that's that other world that I come from. I just thought he did the most beautiful job. And the other person who was, I guess like that 3rd place spot might be tied a little bit between like a Giada or an Anne Burrell or just one of these like, kind of more young, modern female chefs who, what I like with Giada is she's also kind of taking that like Italian-American cuisine, making it healthier, making it more modern, making it quick and easy for everybody to do at home while keeping it authentic.
Is Guy Fieri any good?
He's not my
personality. He's a good personality.
He's not my style, but he's a good personality. And I've always heard that he's wonderful to work with, that he's good to his staff, that he's, and that he is actually a very good, I know a lot of his shows are not even him necessarily cooking anymore. It's like him out on the road and searching other restaurants and things like that. But supposedly he's also just an incredible chef that really, he doesn't do a lot of like the competition shows and things like that, but could easily.
No, he actually raised tremendous amount of money for the food service industry during COVID. I mean, I'm talking like tens and tens of millions of dollars to go to workers while everybody was shut down during COVID too. There's certain people I can't stand.
Shit on them.
What's that?
Makes it hard to kind of shit on him now.
Yeah, like you know what it is. He's flamboyant. Like he's flamboyant. He has the stupid hair, the chain chokers, and the flame shirts. But you know what? That's part of the gimmick. But you know what? He's a good dude. He's a good person. You know, and that says a lot. Like he's not Bobby Flay. Bobby Flay's a piece of shit. I've met him. He's a horrible human being.
Why do you say that? Because that's what's going to go.
Arrogant prick. He's an arrogant prick. And his burgers are not that good. I can make a better burger than him. I think my favorite is I love Alex Guarnaschelli. I'm a big fan of her. I think she's a very talented chef. And I don't know. I think you can probably get your own show at this point. I think you should start pushing for your own show. You have the personality. You can talk.
Definitely.
Which is very important.
And you know the stories.
I'm not a fan of Giada. I call her the tooth monster.
Everybody's got something to say about her face. That they're like either her forehead, her nose, and I'm like,
what's wrong with this woman?
No, she is drop dead gorgeous, but she has like 8 extra teeth in her mouth. Her smile is this wide.
What's her name?
Giada De Laurentiis.
Giada?
Yeah.
Giada De Laurentiis. Her grandfather was a very famous movie producer.
Movie producer.
De Laurentiis?
You know, De Laurentiis was a grandfather. Yeah.
He produced King Kong.
Yeah, that's going away. That you saw when it came out, right?
Not the original one, stupid. The one in the 70s with Jessica Lange. It was so dumb. Why do we do this show with this guy?
I don't know. I say the same thing every week. But listen, I actually had a lot of fun with this episode. I really did. I know we said we don't talk about music. We actually talked zero about music. You gave us the most vague fucking music answers ever on our podcast.
I'm so sorry.
I don't care. No, I don't care. And I said this to Jeff ahead of time. I was like, Mike booked a chef. And I said, we're not fucking talking music today. We're going to talk about food. And that's the universal language. Because you know what? Not everybody drinks, right? Not everybody smokes. Not everybody does drugs, but everybody eats. So it is the universal language.
It is our most common ground. And I think that was, kind of going back to Bourdain and even what I like to do. I mean, it's one of those things that everybody can relate to. Like, you got to sit down at some point in the day and eat something, so it's like, might as well make it good. Might as well make it flavorful. Might as well do it with people you love. Like, it's just, it's like, how can I take these 30 minutes? And even if you only get one meal a day, heaven forbid, but it's like, how do I, maximize this part of my day?
Very cool. I usually ask this one question at the end of podcasts when I talk about music and musicians, but I'm going to ask you a different version of it.
Okay.
If you can cook in a kitchen with 3 chefs, who would it be? Doesn't be the same day. If you had the opportunity to learn from 3 different chefs, who would it be?
Oh man. Yeah. And it's so funny because part of what I do is, having other chefs come and show recipes and things like that. So I've had such a wonderful opportunity to do just that. Honestly, I think the first person that comes to my mind really would be my great grandmother, just to have her, like she, I wasn't old enough when she passed that I wasn't doing this yet. And I hadn't gotten all of that information from her, remember her doing it. But I never really sat with her and like asked for the details. So I think that would definitely be my number one. 3, right? We said,
yeah.
I still think I think if anything, I would love to go, just for me to Italy and find those, little grandmas tucked away in, corner alleys, working over, open fires or something like that. And just kind of see like, how do you guys do this? Like, how is like, or even those people like a tribal people where, it's like, oh man, like, they're cooking their whole meal with a machete and a single copper pot over and like, I'm like, I want to learn how to do that. Like, I just want to watch it. It looks amazing and fascinating.
Have you ever been to the, there's a great restaurant in Staten Island. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's called Inoteca Maria.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what? I feel like I've heard of it, but I have not been there.
Tell the concept.
They don't have a chef. They have grandmothers who come in.
And they rotate them.
And they cook, and you eat whatever the fuck they make.
Cute idea! Oh my God, I'm there.
Whatever they cook is what you're eating. There's no menu. You go in and
next Sunday we got to go.
In fact, Sean, on Friday, I'm actually taking off. I got tickets to see. It was 50 years ago today. It's a band that's comprised of Todd Rundgren, Christopher Cross, Jason Sheff from Chicago, Denny Lane from Wings.
Yep.
And they toured doing Beatles.
I just saw that. They're doing the Wilmot Day or something, right?
Yeah, they did it a couple of years ago before the pandemic, and they did the White Album. On this tour, they're doing Revolver and Rubber Soul.
Yep.
And the restaurant that Sean mentioned is next door to it. So I think we're going to wind up going there before the show.
It's a brilliant concept. It really is, because
it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah. And like you go on the website and it'll say, Nona Maria is going to be here on Wednesday and she's making, sfogliatelles for dessert. And she's doing this and it's a brilliant it's hard to get a reservation. It was for a long time. It was like a 6 to 8 month waiting list to get into this place because it was such a great concept. And I don't think anybody had done it,
Yeah, but I think a guy.
What's that?
I knew a guy.
I was going to say that was the most Staten Island thing.
Yeah, pretty much. So why don't you give our listeners your social media handles? They can follow you and get some insight as to what you're doing next.
Yeah, absolutely. So everything is basically under my name. So it's at Cara Di Falco on Facebook and Instagram. YouTube channel is Cara's Cucina is the name of the show. And same thing, the website is caradifalco.com. You can find all the recipes there and all the videos and things like that. I'm also teaching cooking classes. So I have a couple of classes coming up at Sweet Expressions by Jerry in Denville, New Jersey. So you can check their website for that. And then I'm doing an event April 11th at 317 Main Street in Farmingdale, Long Island. That is their fork cancer event. So we are raising money to fight cancer.
Fantastic.
You get it, Sean? It's called fork cancer. It's a play on words.
Yes. Yes. I can't stand him. I want you to understand this, Cara. This is the last episode we're ever doing.
That's it. You're done. You quit.
Yeah, no, trust me, it's been coming.
We've been on our last episode for about 2 years already. This was supposed to only be a one-show deal.
I actually had a lot of fun doing this, Cara. I really did, because I love talking about food. I mean, you make fat jokes or whatever, it's fine. It's no big deal. But food is really an integral part of people's lives. And, if you learn something from a chef or something from somebody who knows how to cook, you pass it on. And you know what? All you're doing is passing on great information to other generations. So I commend you for what you're doing.
Thank you. No, this was great. You guys were a blast.
Good. I'm
glad you joined us. We really appreciate you taking the time out. We really do.
My pleasure.
All right.
Have a good one, guys. We'll be back next week with Sean Donnelly is joining us.
Great comedian and also a chef.
Oh, is he?
No.
Okay. All right, guys. We will catch you next week with Sean. Thank you very much, Cara Di Falco, for joining us. Guys, follow Cara. She's great. Take care, everybody.
See you later.